I'm Anthony Montag with Montag Manufacturing. This is actually my farm. This is a small piece of ground back in the back. It was originally planted to alfalfa and had a really hard time getting it to take. Alfalfa ended up dying out and ended up with just a grass hayfield. So what I've done is I've been working at vitalizing this field, and I've planted it to cover crops. I've been working with my agronomist on that. And first cover crop we planted was some oats, buckwheat, and hairy vetch. And that came up, did really nice back here. I end up with a lot of deer pressure because this is on the back of a creek that runs through my farm. But that first crop took really well, and I terminated that crop and came in and planted some sun hemp. Due to the deer pressure, I had a hard time getting that to take very well, but still got some activity out of that, and a little bit of cover crop cover. And currently, I've planted it to some oats, a little hairy vetch. So oats, we're sitting on about 60 pounds to the acre of oats, 5 pounds of cereal rye, and 3 pounds of turnips and radishes, and 2 pounds of hairy vetch. It was planted on the over Labor Day weekend. So, and we're standing out here right now on the 7th of November. Currently, last night it was down to 10 degrees, so pretty crisp. And we have some frost in the ground, and tonight was the night when cover crop got terminated back a little bit, or knocked back. We'll see how it comes out of this frost, but with there actually going to be frost in the ground, I don't see a lot of opportunity. But one of the things that I've really noticed through this process is the soil tilth has started to improve and mellow. This was, the predominant grass that was growing back here was starting to be a foxtail, and I had almost no value in a haying operation. If this cover crop, especially the cereal rye, maybe even the oats, as they come back, I'll winter graze this with some sheep, and we'll see what we can get. We can pan around the turnips and radishes, if they'll survive and come back at all, which they still look like that's possible. That would be a great forage for my sheep. This field is on the back of a creek, so I end up with a lot of deer pressure back here, and you can see that they've been aggressively grazing on these cover crops. Not too upset with that, other than one of my purposes with this is to have a winter forage for my sheep. But we can look over here and just identify a few of the cover crops that I have growing here. Obviously, I put this in with an old drill. Worked out quite well for me, but you can see here we have our oats growing. You can see radishes, and also you can see some of the turnips coming in here. I haven't got much bulb activity, which is one of the things I'd hoped for with my sheep, but lesson learned, start a little earlier. The frost is definitely knocking back the hairy vetch a little bit, but it is starting to come in, and we can see a little bit of it here as well. But the real thing that I have that I feel most promising about is you can start to see down in here as we look deep, we can see a little bit of this ryegrass starting to come in here, and that's gonna give me a little bit more forage for the winter with this cover mix. So again, as we kind of pan around, you can see deer have definitely been on this a little bit, but still getting a lot of root activity that's really helping to change the soil health of this field. And I hope to be able to do a comparison between this and the other half of the farm. But this half of the field was the one that was more needed more work. Was definitely showing a little bit more signs of needing some extra help. I took the poorer half out and left the better half. But should be an interesting comparison on the soil health and what we're seeing happen. So here you can see kind of two examples, or the examples of what I had. Sitting over here, this is an alfalfa field. There's still a little alfalfa growing in it, but it's pretty much just going back to wild grasses. Yieldage is pretty down on this. I get 2 cuttings a year off of it for hay. On this side we have the cover crops, and just you can just see the visual difference between them right now. As we're sitting here on the 7th of November, we still have some active growth happening. We're in this grass on the other side, pretty dormant. Also, a significant thing that you can see when we were seeding this, we got the grain drill. We were out here drilling it in. This is a small patch, 1.5 acres is all it is, just a test plot. And I ran out of seed, and we had to overseed with just some pure oats. So we went from a diverse mix, turnips, radishes, hairy vetch, oats, and rye, to simply having some oats. And you can see the difference in the diversity and what that is doing on the field and how much biomass we're actually creating in root activity. That's the only difference. That's actually one of the better spots in the field right there. So it's not like that was a poor spot. The spot that's closer to us here is actually more marginal soil than that. But the diversity in the mix really shows itself right there. So thanks for watching.